boy. So yeah, did Blizzard really just ruin their own game? Did they absolutely destroy Diablo 4 with the brand new patch that just went live ahead of Season 1? So yeah, we got a lot to talk about here. Some balance updates to the overall gameplay experience, but also significant changes to each class. And let me tell you what, a lot of people are not happy with these changes. If you head on over to Reddit right now, you can fill out what's going on here. Patch 1.1 is essentially a slowdown to every single part of the game. All classes nerfed, no reduction in enchantment costs. Helltides are slower, boosting is nerfed to the absolute ground during doing content, other than Nightmare Dungeons is nerfed. Experience bonus for killing monsters of higher levels nerfed by 90%. Crit and vulnerable damage nerfed by 17 and 40% respectively, not counting the nerf to inherent affixes to certain weapons. It's not like this game was lightning fast to begin with, but now it's a proper slog. Got a ton of replies as well. You gotta remember though, this one right here, but they buffed monster density, so it'll be fun to play at least, right? Wait a second. So yeah, you know, I'm gonna see what you guys have to say in the long term about this one. I want you guys to fill it out during Season 1, and then we'll see what happens, but we're going to get into all these changes. But yeah, you know, one thing that isn't helping the situation is, in my opinion, I said this beforehand, are the uniques and the legendaries have to be really, really good. Someone pointed this out right here. Is this some sort of out-of-season April Fool's joke? And it shows off the Sorcerer's brand new unique you can find. The unique wand, but it says, gain the effect of the teleport enchantment for free. When you evade using teleport enchantment, you are taken to a random location. It doesn't sound like sorcerers are very enthused over this brand new unique at all. All right, so let's get into the actual patch notes. I wanted to talk mostly about the classes here, so let's go ahead and get into it. So we have, of course, the Aryan, the D, and Omancer. No, I'm just kidding. So I don't know why it's cut off, but I say we start with the Sorcerer because I feel like people are mostly curious about that one. So with skills, it says enhanced charged bolts damage increased from 24% to 30%, and now benefits from skill ranks. Destructive charged bolts damage reduction increased from 20% to 25%. Destructive incinerate damage reduction increased from 20% to 25%. Now, Ice Blade's cast cleanup has been tightened, allowing players to act after it's cast sooner. Firebolt initial damage increased from 10 to 18%, so, you know, there's a buff. Wizard's Firewall maximum increased mana regeneration increased from 25 to 35%, and Wizard's Blizzard's core skill mana cost reduction increased from 10% to 20%. Supreme Deep Freeze cooldown reduction increased from 50 to 100%. So yeah, a lot of people aren't happy about this stuff right here. But for passives, it says Elemental Dominance now also affects mastery skills instead of just core skills. Potent Warding duration increased from 3 to 9 seconds. Protection Barrier duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. Align the Elements damage reduction per second increased from 1, 2, 3 to 3, 6, 9 respectively. Mana Shield damage reduction increased from 5, 10 to 15% to 7, 14 to 21%. Now, Devouring Blaze bonus critical strike damage reduced from 10, 20 to 30% to 7, 14, and 21% respectively. Devouring Blaze bonus critical strike damage to immobilize reduced from 25 to 50, 75 to 10, 20, and 30 respectively. Now, Fury or Fiery surge mana regeneration increased from 10 to 20, 30% to 15, 30 to 45% right there. Now, what's going on with the Paragon board? So it says this. Destruction Glyph now affects all damage instead of just core skills. So that seems like that is a bit of a buff right there. Now, enchantments says Spark enchantment in chance to form crackling energy increased from 10 to 14%. Let it crackle. Then Frozen Orb enchantment chance to be cast increased from 10 to 30%. Incinerate enchantment cooldown reduced from 18 to 14 seconds. And Hydra enchantment mana threshold reduced from 300 to 200. Now, what about those legendary aspects for a sorcerer? Now, it says this aspect of efficiency mana cost reduction increased from 10 to 20% to 15 to 25%, and now also affects mastery skills. Aspect of Armageddon damage increased from 0.205 to 0.25 to 0.35 to 0.4. And then we have a bunch of other changes to the aspects as well. I'm not going to go over every single one of them. You can go ahead and pause the screen and let me know what you think of these changes. They also did some notable changes to items as well for our Sorcerer. Overall, it seems like some disappointing things happening there for sure, especially in terms of what they're doing with the cooldown for the Sorcerers. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Now, what about the Rogue? That's going to be the big question. So let's get to it. So we have skills. Advanced rapid fire duration increased from 3 to 5 seconds. Caltrops cast speed increased by 15%. Now enhanced cold imbue lucky hit chance increased from 30% to 40%. Enhanced smoke grenade damage bonus increased from 15 to 20%. Mythical dash maximum cooldown reduction increased from 3 to 4 seconds. I don't know why they're messing so much with the cooldown stuff here. Now it's concealment stealth duration increased from 4 to 5 seconds. Enhanced dark shroud's chance to not be consumed increased from 10% to 14%. Supreme death trap cooldown reduction increased from 10 to 12 seconds. For the passives, let's talk about it. Victimize lucky hit chance increased from 30% to 35%. Then it says this siphoning strikes now also requires a lucky hit chance of 75%. Rugged damage reduction against damage over time effects increased from 5, 10, 15 respectively to 6, 12, and 18. Mending obscurity healing per second while stealth increased from 3, 6, 9% to 4, 8, and 12% respectively. And aftermath energy restored increased from 25, 50, 75 to 30 and 60 and 90. Now they did some stuff with Paragon. The combat glyphs bonus now affects all damage instead of just core skills. Eldritch bounty legendary node duration increased from 6 to 9 seconds there. And for specialization, we have preparations ultimate cooldown reduction increased from 4 to 5 seconds. Again, they're messing around with cooldowns, in my opinion, too much. And then you could pause the screen here to see what they adjusted with the legendary aspects right here. We're getting, from what I can glimpse here, some, buffs right there. And then for items, yeah, they have Sky Hunter's energy gain increased from 15 to 25 to 20 to 30. So some interesting things going on with the Rogue as well. But I want to talk about the Necromancer next up. So let's go ahead and dive into that one right now, shall we? So it goes on to say this right here. It says skills initiates decompose slow increased from 30% to 50%. Paranormal sever cast required for vulnerable reduced from 4 to 3. Enhanced blood surge healing increased from 2.5% to 3% of maximum life. Enhanced blood lance damage reduction for piercing reduced from 15 to 10%. Bone prison initial essence gained increased from 15 to 25. Does anyone even use bone prison, by the way? I don't know. When I played Necromancer, I feel like it's kind of like meh. Now, abhorrent Iron Maiden healing increased from 5% to 7% of maximum life. Golems move faster and unhindered through enemies when their cooldown is activated. That sounds like more of a fix, but also a bit of a buff for your golem. Supreme Blood Wave leaves behind blood orbs earlier in its path. Raised Skeleton, Corpse Explosion, Corpse Tendrils range for auto-targeting corpses on mouse and keyboard increased by 50%. That's actually nice right there. Raised Skeleton Skeletal Priest bonus damage increased from 20% to 30%. Raised Skeleton Skeletal Priest healing increased from 10 to 15%. How are you liking the Necromancer changes, my Necromancer family? Let me know. For passives, it says Avulsion bonus, damage to vulnerable reduced from 6, 12, 18% to 5, 10, and 15%. And then we have some other passive changes as well. I'm going to pause the screen for you so you can take a look here. The Book of the Dead has seen some changes though. Necromancer's minions will now automatically resummon after respawning during a world boss fight. Skeleton Warrior Defenders upgrade thorns inherited increased from 40% to 50%. Shadow Skeleton Mage upgrade attacks required for an additional Shadow Bolt reduced from 5 to 4. And then Bone Skeleton Mage upgrade Fortify amount increased from 11% to 20%. Iron Golems upgrade attacks required for slam attack reduced from 5 to 4. Now for the Paragon, it says Essence Glyphs bonus now affects all damage instead of just core skills. And then we have, of course, the aspects, as you can see right here. We have, let's see here, some, I think, buffs and a combination of nerfs from what I am seeing. But yeah, you guys can pause the screen for yourself and take a look. And then some changes with the items as well. Let me know what you guys think about what they've done with the Necromancer. They keep tweaking stuff. And I don't know, it makes it a little bit difficult to follow your build through. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right, next up, we're going to take a look at, you know, my go-to, the Barbarian. So let's do it. We have this right here. Violet double swing vulnerable duration increased from 1 to 2 seconds. Furious upheaval damage bonus per stack increased from 3% to 5%. Finally, maybe I can actually use upheaval. Now, power charge cooldown reduction is now capped to 3 targets for a maximum of 9 seconds of cooldown reduction. Tactical ground stomp fury gain increased from 25 to 40. Enhanced death blows damage bonus to bosses increased from 100% to 150%. Increase that to like 300%. No, I'm just kidding. Now it says enhanced steel grasp vulnerable duration increased from 2.5 to 3 seconds, and enhanced rupture damage increased from 30 to 45%. Excuse me. Now it says warriors rupture attack speed bonus increased from 20 to 30%, and duration increased from 4 to 5 seconds. Fighters rupture healing increased from 15 to 18% maximum life. This is a lot to read. Now it says passives. Hamstring now only slows healthy enemies, and slow amount increased from 10, 20, 30% to 20, 40, 60%. Why would they change that? I don't understand why they would need to have it where it slows only healthy enemies. Anyway, let's cut to the bone. Bleeding damage bonus to vulnerable reduced from 6, 12, 18% to 5, 10, and 15%. That's different. Some changes there. All right. Now, Wrathglyph's bonus now affects all damage instead of just core skills. And aspects we have right here. You can take a look, see some interesting things happening here. I'm seeing some buffs, that's for sure. Interesting. Then we have Gore's devastating grips now explodes every 2 seconds or after it ends, and its hit cap has been removed. Oh. Builds of Crimson bleeding damage bonus increased from 10 to 15% respectively. So yeah, gives me a chance to use upheaval. You know, I feel like that's one of the most neglected skills in the end game. Will that little buff help it out in the end game? I'm not too sure. I'll have to wait and find out, won't we? All right, so we got to talk about the Druid. We cannot forget about the Druid. All right, so let's do it. So we have enhanced claw attack speed, bonus increase from 10% to 15%. Storm strike damage reduction reduced from 25 to 15%. Boulder damage increased from 33% to 46%. Savage trample spirit gain increased from 20 to 40. And prime lacerate healing increased from 3% to 5%. Cataclysm lightning damage increased from 64% to 77%. And tornado damage from 19 to 23%. So some buffs. Supreme Cataclysm vulnerable duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. And Prime Cataclysm duration increased from 2 to 4 seconds. Now, Prime Grizzly Rage now grants unstoppable for 6 seconds instead of while active. Okay, so how are you feeling about this one, my druids? So passive, it says provocation threshold required for guaranteed overpower reduced from 33 or 35, 30, 25 to 24, 20, and 16 seconds respectively. Now, Spirit Boom. We got to talk about that. Masochistic now also requires a lucky hit chance of 75%. I've noticed that they've done this with other classes. Prickle Skin Thorns increased from 0.1 to 0.15. Iron Feather maximum life increased from 10% to 14%. Bolster Fortify increased from 10% to 15% of maximum life. Overload damage increased from 0.2 to 0.25. Now the Paragon has seen some adjustments. Spirit Glyphs bonus now affects, of course, all damage instead of just core skills. And then we have the aspects right here. Check it out. Pause it on your screen if you want to see what has happened with the Druid's specific aspects, but I can clearly see some buffs going on there. Insatiable Fury. Werebear skill, by the way, ranks increased from 2 to 3, and Mad Wolf's Glee, werewolf skill ranks increased from 2 to 3. So, yeah. You know, Druid isn't exactly my go-to class, so let me know how you guys are feeling about these changes. For sure, I'm kind of curious to see what you guys have to say. Now, there are some other noteworthy changes here, so let's go ahead and take a look. So yeah, let's get into the other changes right now. We have, of course, changes to aspects. Now it says aspect of disobedience maximum stack reduced from 100 to 60, reducing maximum bonus armor percentage from 25% to 50% to 15% to 30%. Now aspect of retribution bonus damage to stunned reduced from 20 to 40% to 10 to 20%. And exploiter's aspect bonus damage to unstoppable reduced from 20 50% to 20 to 40%, and Starlight aspect resource restore increased from 10 to 20 to 20 to 40. Now, for items, it says the Butcher's Cleaver Slow increased from 40 to 75% to 61 to 75% right there. Now, drop rate adjustments. Let's talk about it. They have increased bonus to drop ancestral and sacred items in Nightmare Dungeons from 5% to 10%. Removed a 20% chance to drop an extra equipment item from elite monsters outside of Nightmare Dungeons and Helltide. They also increased chance to drop an extra equipment item from elite monsters in Nightmare Dungeons and Helltide by 10%. Now, they also say this Nightmare Dungeons now have a 50% chance to drop a second legendary item upon completion, and Nightmare Dungeons now give 3 rare items upon completion, up from 1 as well. Now for monsters, it says increase monster HP scaling from 85% to 100% bonus per extra player in a party. And then it says miscellaneous adjusted the scaling of the Greed Shrine to improve its effectiveness throughout the game. World bosses now drop potions more often. There's no longer a limit to how many materials you can refine into higher materials at once. Now, we have some developer notes about item affixes. It says right here, many affixes are too efficient and are outshining alternatives. We're looking to refine the outliers, improve the number of meaningful choices on competitive slots, and increase the overall flexibility of items. We know these changes will reduce the total amount of possible power a character can possess, so we'll be monitoring how these changes affect players' ability to conquer expected milestones throughout the season. Oh boy, they're taking some risks. Now it says we're increasing the availability of the fixes below to make them easier to include in different builds. Now for control impaired, duration reduction can now appear on pins. Barrier generation says this can now appear for all classes. It will also begin dropping later in the game. Lucky hit chance while you have a barrier can now appear for all classes as well, and reduced by 12% when on helm and 20% on amulet or offhand. Mastery skill damage newly added can appear on sorcerer weapons, scales identically to core skill damage. Resistance to all elements says this can now appear on shields. Now for developers notes, it says the core stat bonus on weapons has been overperforming, so we're pulling back on this bonus. What? Really? Okay. Oh boy. So strength says 50% stronger when on weapons is now 25% stronger on weapons. Dexterity says 50% stronger on weapons is now 25% stronger on weapons. And you can see the trend here. Let's see it explained. Now, developer note says cooldown reduction affixes often felt mandatory due to their raw power. We imagine cooldown reduction will remain a highly desirable stat, but the penalty for not prioritizing it won't be as harsh. Okay. So, that explains what's going on right here with cooldown reduction being reduced by 30%, imbuement skill cooldown reduction reduced by 30%, and then trap skill cooldown reduction reduced by another 30%. Now, it says this for critical strike stuff. It says we're seeing critical strike damage and vulnerable damage often viewed as a hard requirement for build success in Diablo 4. We believe this is a step towards allowing more builds to flourish, and will continue to make changes in support of this goal. So they have done some reductions here. Oh boy. They reduced vulnerable damage by 40%. Wow. Ouch. My whole build is like very much dependent on that. So, okay. That is such a bummer to see. So critical strike damage also reduced. Lightning, critical strike damage reduced. And yes, critical strike damage, bone, earth, imbued, and werewolf skills have seen a reduction. Now it says this, disparities in inherent affixes can rule some weapons out before the rest of their stats are even rolled. These are receiving harsher reductions than their normal affix counterparts to increase weapon flexibility. So you can see what they're doing here with that. They have decided to reduce critical strike damage, cooldown reduction, and vulnerable damage when it comes to different elements of the game. Vulnerable damage with inherent on crossbows reduced by 65%, and so on and so forth. You can pause the screen and take a look there as well. Now, they explain what they did with damage bonus to crowd-controlled enemies. They say it was overperforming relative to the ease of activating it versus stricter crowd control type specific effects. So, more nerfs. Then we have this note here. We have seen that skillful players are frequently slaughtering monsters many levels above their own. We want to support this, but the current situation is beyond what we believe is correct for the long-term health of the game. To chase this goal, we're shifting power to many offensive affixes from defensive affixes. So we know this will make our in-game content more deadly, particular for those chasing our pinnacle boss, an encounter not meant for the faint of heart. Overcoming the pinnacle boss will take every ounce of grit you can muster and all tools at your disposal. We will continue to evaluate feedback from the community and make changes to our combat mechanics. Oh my god. So take a look at what they have done here. So go ahead and pause the screen if you want to. And yeah, this is a lot to go over. I'm not going to be reading every single last change, but yes. I can see why people are definitely upset over this patch. It's definitely, you know, hitting some builds that they've been working on forever. And to kind of strip that away from them is rough. I think they released this patch in time for people to create a new build with Season 1 with the changes and to see how people do with that. I'm thinking that's what they're thinking behind the scenes. But current in-game builds are going to definitely be taking a hit, and a lot of people are not going to be happy with that. So yeah, I'm curious to see overall how the community is going to be reacting once we get underway into Season 1, or if people will just not even entertain the idea of Season 1, they're going to be so offended by some of these changes. We'll see. Let me know what side of the fence you are on. But there it is. If you missed my previous video, check it out. I did cover some significant changes to Hell Tides. I talked about world tier changes, scaling, leveling, all sorts of stuff. It's not in this video, so check that out. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.